All right, let's get the party started. So Justin had a question. He says, I'm reading off the computer here. He says, good morning. He said, I'm watching your YouTube videos. I appreciate that. Thank you. I was wondering if you had dealt with Midland doors before. What are your thoughts on them? If so, or what is your favorite insulated raised panel door for quality, performance, brand, and models? Also, what is your favorite garage door opener brand type? I'm currently planning a project in Nebraska. I have access to Midland, Wayne Dalton, Clopay, and Ideal Door brands. LiftMaster, Genie, and Chamberlain openers. Door is 16 foot wide by 14 foot tall height. In a residential area, so trying to keep residential look, and a 2-inch thick door. Well, you know what? I am glad that you mentioned the 2-inch thick door. I think a 2-inch thick door is just, it's just a good door. You know, it's what's been around for years. It just seems like, I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like a wheel, right? The wheel just works because it's round. Don't try to make it square. Don't try to make it oblong. It works. So, I was just thinking today, I think I'm either there or I'm close to. I'm 20 years in the business. And my experience has been a lot of times. There is a little bit of, who is it? Safeway garage doors. They do have some doors that on the back side, they have some whoops in the back. Not bad, but those are the one brand I think of that I go, the panels I was always a little bit questionable on. Most of the door brands, depending on what model you go with, you got to kind of do your homework. So Midland, one of our vendors sells those. And I've always liked kind of the quality control with Midland. When I'd open up the boxes, they normally have like a personalized little note in there and it would show like somebody went through and made sure everything was there. I really always enjoyed that. It always had that human touch feel to it. So Midland, I think, does pretty good across the board. Now, my brothers and my sisters that watch my channel can comment below. They all have their input too. So, like if you go with Wayne Dalton, I always tell myself I try to stick with the 8,000 series doors is the way I go. If you stick in the 9,000 series doors, I don't like the 9,000 series doors. I typically like the 8,000. I like the 8,000, the 82s, the 83s. If you want a 2-inch, go with the 85. The 85 was always a good door. The problem with the only thing I didn't like about the 8500 raised panel was that they use that cup bottom seal, and if you're in a spot where water's going to hit the door, it gets into that bottom seal and it can drain. So like when you lift up your door, you can have water kind of peeing out the sides. And I never really liked that. That was the one thing. And I think about with corrosion and just debris, and it's kind of sitting in water all the time. So it just depends. If you got an overhang, then it's probably not a big deal. I did have a customer one time that the neighbor, imagine this, the neighbor complained that they thought their door was open because of that way it cups on the bottom there. So, yeah. And I got a video, I think, coming out here soon. It talks about we did an 8300, and it has an L shape, and I don't really like the L shape either. So, Wayne Dalton, it's okay. It does. I think Clopay, I don't know the models that well. I do deal with Clopay. I think generically they're okay, but it's a lot of things fall under kind of like General Motors, right? You know, you kind of had either, you can buy either the Chevy pickup or you can buy the GMC, and they're still under General Motors though. So you got to think about things like that. So you got to do your homework. You got to figure out the R value and all that, the 2-inch thick. But Clopay does have some good doors, like their sandwich doors that are basically the higher R value. Seem to be pretty decent doors. When it comes to garage door sections, a lot of times what I never liked is you can actually literally go to a box store, like for us around here we have Menards. They call them Ideal doors, but they're actually made by Clopay. And they're like the kind of the cheapest version of cheap. And what I don't like is their hardware. The hardware typically gets cheaped out. That's one thing people don't really pay attention to, right? They kind of get glorified and, oh, it's this color and it's the raised panel and the price, but they never look kind of at the rollers. So make sure you're getting ball bearing rollers. Nylon rollers are nice, they're quiet. Make sure you're getting a good quality roller. The hinges are a good gauge. You know, you're getting the torsion spring and they're not cheaping you out with extension springs. So things like that, the little things, because that's what makes a door nicer. You know what I mean? It rolls nicer, quieter. It just seems to last longer, you know, when they got better quality. Now, since you're going with that big a door too, if it was my place, a 16-foot wide by 14, that's a big door. I'd want struts. So either if you went like with a Wayne Dalton, they have the built-in struts, but just keep in mind, I did have a TS 200 one time at my house that was brown. And I remember when that sun would hit it up here in Michigan, that door, I remember I could sight down it. You know, I'd go inside and I could look down that thing and it would actually bow. And I remember at nighttime when it cooled down, it would straighten back out. But I thought, wow, that door, I mean, I wish I would have put a scale on it to see how much it bowed out. But it wasn't severe, but it was enough to notice. So you got to kind of watch that, you know. And I think with the Wayne Dalton, the TS, I think over a long period of time, you know, so if this is a place you're going to stay at for a long, you know, if you're flipping it, no big deal. But if you're going to stay there for a long term, you know, 10, 15, 20 years, that expansion and contraction sometimes can cause, I think the door to get, they call it like a tinning effect. It's like a can, oil can effect, where it kind of gets that whoops, you know, starts getting waves in it. So that's something you got to kind of consider. So there's so many ways it can kind of go. With LiftMaster, Genie, you know, obviously it says Chamberlain out here, but Chamberlain is really LiftMaster. Chamberlain's kind of like what I always say. Chamberlain's like General Motors, and they either have their Chamberlain brands or they have their LiftMaster, which is the Cadillac. So it depends on what you want to do. If I was to go with LiftMaster is a little more techy. That's what I think of LiftMaster. LiftMaster is the one that's got all the bells and the whistles, you know, the apps. You can do, I think their tech support's good for all that kind of stuff. The Genie, especially if you're going that big a door, if it was me, I would definitely jump up to a commercial model. I'd do like a LiftMaster T50, what is it, a T5011 L5 is what they call it now. You know, 115 volt trolley. Unless you're doing high lift, then you go to a jack shaft, and then it'd be like a J5011 L5. I would stick probably with the LiftMaster if it was for my house, just because, you know, we're kind of going in the world nowadays where, you know, it just seems like LiftMaster is a little bit more on the cutting edge of integrating things, you know what I mean? So they're kind of looking for the future a little bit. So if you're looking for more just, you know, want Wi-Fi, you want an app that you can open and close it, and you have to look at everything to see what the specs are. Genie seems a little bit more primitive. I think Genies do a pretty good job. For some reason, I can't get on board with their trolley ones, the ones that have, you know, go along the ceiling back and forth. I don't know why. They look ugly to me for some reason. So the Genies, they work, they do their job, but there's no real thing that stands out to me on those. I'd say too, I mean, if you wanted something just real primitive, we've been also using the Power Master, and those have been pretty decent too, but tech support's a little bit on the laggy side, you know, for you and shipping and all that, it's probably better to stick with the LiftMaster. So, like I said, with a 16-foot wide door, make sure it's got struts on each panel. You know, have it all the way, so that way if you get a real high wind gust or anything, it doesn't blow that door. And since that door is so wide, I'm pretty sure sometimes manufacturers will do like every other. I would do a strut on every section of that door if it was mine. That's a big door, and you're gonna want, like I said, you're gonna want a good solid opener. So, and then one other thing you got to consider too is when you go to a opener, you might have to get an extended range antenna where you have to either poke it out the front of the building to get the remotes to work, because sometimes if it's a steel building, you will lose with your remotes. It will bounce off the building like a satellite dish. So that's just something to consider if you're looking for range when you pull up. You want to pull your RV or truck or whatever you got in there. So those things to consider. I guess if you have any more questions on it, you know, you can always email me. And you guys, you know, you can always email me. I should tell you in these videos. I had to change my email because my email is full and Google is not liking me. So it's Dave A. Dubson. So it's, my middle is Alan. So it's, but it's just Dave A. Dubson at gmail.com. And I'm going to put it, I'll put it down below. I do with all my videos. Or actually, it's below there where it says Affordable Door and Gate Team. And then it has my name. I put my email because sometimes people, they go through the business one, and which is, it's not the end of the world, but the problem is that I don't really scan that, and then it'll go to the secretary, and then, or one of the secretaries, and it will get, it just gets kind of lost. And so I don't want you guys to think that, you know, boy, I wrote a, you know, message to Dave or whatever, and you know, because sometimes I might just not get it, because I'm not, you know, I'm not a one-man band, so there's many people in the garage door business here, and so things can get just kind of moved around and with the questions and stuff. And then of course now with my email not working, I found out with the one secretary, she told me that she's tried sending some stuff to me and it didn't go through, which is probably about right, because I know, you know, Google has been threatening me that stuff is full, and I'm just kind of hesitant on giving them money every month and all that kind of stuff. You know, I'm just kind of anti-establishment. So, but anyways, you know, like I said, hopefully that helps in the models. Just do your homework, you know, do some research on them, watch some videos on different doors, and you should be okay. Most of them always kind of have their lower end to their higher end. And what you recommended here, I think they're all okay. I think I haven't really dealt with Midland, but every time I touched Midland, there was never a question of doubt. Besides that, I think they might have changed their bottom seal from a metal retainer to a plastic retainer. But I always felt like they tried, you know what I mean? Like somebody on the other end was always thinking about me. You know, that's how I always felt about it. So not a bad door, I don't think. But like I said, Wayne Dalton's got their quirks a little bit too. Clopay, they're okay. They're okay. It just depends on what you spend your money. You know, it's either, you know, pay me now or pay me later, right? You know, it's either take your butt whoopings fast and now, or just get them later. So anyways, thanks Justin for the question. Otherwise, hope you guys have a wonderful day. If you don't mind hitting that like button on your way out, and you should comment below of my door guys. What do you recommend? You know, you guys might be installing more doors than me. And do you recommend a certain Clopay and a certain size, you know, or model, I should say? Comment below. What do you like? You know, because I like to hear it too, because then it gets my brain thinking, somebody mentioned something about they like that, and maybe we should entertain that. Because here's the reasons, or just because they installed a lot of them and had good hardware. So comment below. Don't be afraid to. All right, you guys, hit the like button. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Thanks for watching. See ya.